Captain Eric Mason stared at the holographic display with narrowed eyes. The anomaly near Jupiter's orbit had appeared 3 days ago, growing steadily larger with each passing hour. No natural phenomenon matched its energy signature. "What do you make of it, Dr. Patel?" he asked, turning to his chief science officer. Lisa Patel adjusted her glasses, a habit she maintained despite corrective surgery being available. "It's unlike anything in our database, sir. The energy readings suggest some kind of spatial distortion, but it's too stable to be random." The bridge of the U.S. Intrepid hummed with tension. As Earth's most advanced scientific vessel, they were accustomed to discovering new phenomena, but this was different. This felt deliberate. "Sir, the anomaly is changing," called out Ensign Rivera from the sensor station. "It's opening." The holographic display showed the anomaly expanding into what appeared to be a tunnel of swirling energy. And then something emerged. "My God," whispered Mason. The object that appeared dwarfed the Intrepid by orders of magnitude. Sleek and silvery, it resembled a massive leaf with intricate patterns etched across its surface. Lights pulsed along its edges in rhythmic sequences. "Are we recording this?" Mason asked, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Every sensor we have is pointed at it, sir," Patel confirmed. Lieutenant Frank Diaz at Communications suddenly straightened. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's not using any known frequency. Put it through." The bridge speakers crackled with strange sounds, clicks, whistles, and tones that seemed to follow some pattern just beyond human comprehension. "Run it through all translation algorithms," Mason ordered. For hours, they tried every possible communication method while the massive ship remained stationary. Earth's governments had been notified, and militaries worldwide were on high alert. The Intrepid maintained position, humanity's lone representative in this first contact scenario. Diaz hadn't left his station in 20 hours when he suddenly called out, "Captain, I think I've got something." Mason, who had been consulting with UN officials via secure channel, rushed back to the bridge. "What is it?" "They're using mathematical principles as a foundation for communication. I've modified our universal translator to recognize the pattern. Open a channel." Diaz nodded, and Mason cleared his throat. "This is Captain Eric Mason of the Earth vessel Intrepid. We welcome you in peace." The response came through the translator, choppy but understandable. "Greetings, vessel of unregistered world. This is the Harmonious Unity, representative ship of the Galactic Council. Your presence is unexpected." Mason exchanged glances with Patel before replying. "We are representatives of Earth. We were unaware of any requirement for registration." A pause followed. "Interesting. Your species has achieved space travel without Council guidance or approval. This is unusual." "We've developed our technology independently," Mason replied. "So we observe. The Council will want to document this anomaly. Your world designation: Earth, humanity." Another long pause. "We have no record of Earth or humanity in our databases. The Council must be informed immediately." Over the next few days, communication continued. The aliens explained they represented a coalition of 27 spacefaring species that governed this section of the galaxy. All known sentient races were cataloged and monitored as they developed. Except, apparently, for humans. On the 5th day, the message that would change human history forever arrived. The Galactic Council requests formal audience with Earth representatives to assess your civilization's status. Captain Mason is invited as preliminary contact liaison. As Mason delivered this news to Earth's leaders, he couldn't help but feel that humanity stood on the edge of something momentous. Whatever happened next would forever alter their place in the universe. "They seem surprised by us," Patel noted, almost unsettled. Mason nodded. "I got that impression too. Something about us has left them speechless." Earth faced the Galactic Council and left them speechless. The United Nations Security Council chamber had never been so packed. Representatives from every nation on Earth crowded the room, their faces tense with anticipation as they debated who would represent humanity to the stars. "We need our best minds," said the Secretary General. "People who embody the best of what humanity has to offer." After 3 days of heated discussion, they reached a decision. Ambassador Nicole Wright would lead the delegation. At 43, she had brokered peace in 3 major conflicts and spoke 7 languages. Her calm demeanor and sharp intellect made her the perfect choice as humanity's voice. Dr. Alan Rodriguez joined as scientific liaison. His groundbreaking work in quantum physics had revolutionized Earth's understanding of spacetime. If anyone could comprehend alien science, it would be him. Captain Eric Mason completed the core team, bringing first-hand experience with the visitors. The delegation also included linguists, anthropologists, and cultural experts, 12 humans in total who would carry the hopes of their entire species. 2 weeks after the selection, the massive alien vessel Harmonious Unity returned to Earth orbit. A smaller craft descended to the designated landing zone in Geneva, where the delegation waited on a specially constructed platform. Ambassador Wright stepped forward as the craft's doors slid open. A being emerged that looked nothing like the aliens in Earth's movies. It stood on 4 tentacle-like limbs and had a translucent upper body with multiple pulsing organs visible beneath its skin. 3 eyes arranged in a triangle blinked independently. "I am Sentai, diplomatic attaché," it said through a device at what might have been its throat. "The Council welcomes Earth's representatives." The journey began the next day. The human delegation boarded the shuttle with minimal belongings, just essential personal items, cultural artifacts, and data storage containing selected knowledge from Earth. Inside the main vessel, the humans discovered environments created specifically for them. Quarters with Earth normal gravity, temperature, and atmosphere. "We have studied your biological needs," explained Sentai. "Your comfort is important for productive dialogue." As they accelerated away from Earth, Dr. Rodriguez spent hours in what the aliens called the observation dome, watching their home planet shrink to a tiny blue dot among countless stars. "The drive system uses principles similar to our theoretical warp mechanics," he explained to the others after several days of observation. "But they've solved problems we thought were impossible." During the 3-week journey, the humans learned more about the Galactic Council. Founded thousands of years ago, it governed interstellar relations, resource allocation, and technological development for its 27 member species. "Your development pattern is unusual," Sentai told them during one briefing session. "Most species are discovered during their pre-industrial phase and mentored into space travel. We did it on our own," Captain Mason pointed out. "Yes," Zentai's eyes blinked in sequence. "Some council members find this concerning." Ambassador Wright spent her time studying council protocols provided by their hosts. "They're bureaucratic," she noted to her colleagues. "But beneath the formality, I sense factions and politics not unlike our own." On the final day of travel, the massive ship slowed as they approached a structure that defied comprehension. Space Station Concordia hung in the void like a giant snowflake made of metal and light, its sprawling arms housing millions of beings from across the galaxy. "Prepare yourselves," Sentai advised as they approached. "Many species will find your appearance and behaviors as strange as you find theirs." The shuttle bay they entered teemed with creatures of every imaginable form. Floating gas clouds contained in force fields, insectoid beings clicking complex languages, even what appeared to be living crystals that communicated through light pulses. As the humans stepped off their shuttle, the busy terminal fell silent. Hundreds of alien eyes, sensors, and sensory organs turned toward them. Wright straightened her shoulders and stepped forward. The journey to the council chambers and humanity's future had begun. The council chambers stretched upward in a vast dome, lined with balconies for spectators. In the center stood a circular platform surrounded by tiered seating, where representatives from 27 worlds sat in arrangements suited to their various physiologies. Some floated in bubbles of liquid, others perched on heated rocks, and a few existed as shimmering fields of energy. Ambassador Wright led the human delegation across a narrow walkway to the central platform. Her heart pounded, but her steps remained steady. Behind her, Dr. Rodriguez whispered observations to Captain Mason about the various species they passed. Silence for the high speaker announced a melodic voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. A tall, willowy beam with skin like polished silver rose from the highest seat. 6 elongated fingers spread wide in what the humans had learned was a gesture of formal address. I am Zixar of the Myth Eri, High Speaker for this cycle of the Galactic Council. The alien's voice resonated with perfect clarity. We welcome the representatives of Earth, an unregistered world in Sector 17. Thank you, High Speaker, Wright replied with a practiced bow. We bring greetings from Earth and all humanity. Murmurs rippled through the chamber as translation devices carried her words to each species in their native languages. Your case is unusual, Zixar continued. In the 12,000 cycles of Council history, only 3 species have achieved interstellar capability without guidance. We must determine if Earth qualifies for recognition. A bulbous creature with dozens of eyes interrupted, its translator producing harsh, clipped words. The humans developed atomic weapons before achieving unified planetary government. This pattern matches the Krell catastrophe. The Vexor delegate raises valid concerns, added another alien, this one resembling a mass of tentacles and fins. Their information networks show countless conflicts and resource mismanagement. Ambassador Wright stepped forward. If I may address these concerns, High Speaker. Zixar nodded. Humanity has indeed struggled with conflict, but we have also created art, music, literature, and philosophy that celebrate peace and cooperation. We've developed medicine that extends life and technologies that connect our world. While we have made mistakes, we learn from them. Wright gestured to her colleagues. Dr. Rodriguez has developed theories that advanced our understanding of quantum mechanics. Captain Mason commands a vessel dedicated to scientific discovery, not warfare. Yet your military vessels outnumber your scientific ones, noted a crystalline being, light pulsing through its faceted body. We protect what we value, Captain Mason spoke up. But the Intrepid's mission demonstrates our priorities: exploration and understanding. Dr. Rodriguez added, we've observed that several Council species have defensive capabilities. Protection and aggression are different concepts. A tall, furred creature with 4 arms leaned forward. The humans speak with wisdom beyond their development stage. I propose a full evaluation. Evaluation, Wright asked. Zixar's silver face remained unreadable. Standard procedure for potential members. We must assess technological advancement, ethical development, and compatibility with Council principles. We welcome such evaluation, Wright replied confidently. A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. Most species apparently found the process intimidating. There is more, said a previously silent delegate, a cloud of glowing particles contained within a field. Our preliminary scans show humans have developed several technologies along paths no Council species pursued. Their neural architecture processes information differently. This announcement caused more commotion than anything before. Divergent technology. The Vexor delegate's many eyes blinked rapidly. Impossible without guidance. Yet it appears to be true, Zixar said thoughtfully. This requires special consideration. Ambassador Wright exchanged glances with her team. The Council's reaction suggested humanity was more unique than they had realized. The delegation will be escorted to quarters while the Council deliberates, Zixar announced. Tomorrow, the evaluation begins. As they left the chamber, Dr. Rodriguez whispered, "Did you notice? They're not just confused by us. They're afraid of what we represent." Captain Mason nodded. A species that developed independently. We're outside their control. And that, Wright said quietly, gives us an advantage they never expected. The human delegation's quarters aboard Concordia Station felt eerily like a luxury hotel on Earth, an attempt at familiarity that only highlighted how far from home they truly were. Ambassador Wright gathered everyone in the central living area as morning arrived according to the station's artificial day-night cycle. "The council has informed me of their testing procedures," she explained. "They want to evaluate us separately based on our expertise." Dr. Rodriguez would face scientific challenges. Ambassador Wright would navigate diplomatic scenarios. Captain Mason would undergo tactical simulations. The others would be evaluated in their respective fields. "Remember," Wright cautioned, "this isn't just about individual performance. These tests are designed to reveal how humanity thinks and solves problems." 2 hours later, Dr. Rodriguez found himself in a vast laboratory filled with equipment both recognizable and utterly alien. 3 council scientists, a myth-airy like Zixar, a crystalline being, and something that looked like a floating jellyfish, stood waiting. "We have prepared 3 problems that represent different aspects of physical science," the myth-airy explained. "The council wishes to understand human scientific reasoning." The first challenge involved predicting particle behavior in a quantum field. Rodriguez studied the provided data, realizing they expected him to use standard council mathematical models. Instead, he applied Earth's latest theories on quantum entanglement. "Fascinating approach," the crystalline scientist commented when Rodriguez demonstrated his solution. "Inefficient by our standards, but reaching correct conclusions through different paths." The second challenge proved more difficult, involving energy transfer principles that contradicted Earth physics. Rodriguez struggled until he realized the council scientists were watching his process more than his results. "I need to reconsider my fundamental assumptions," he said aloud, thinking through the problem step by step. "On Earth, we would approach this differently, but I see how your framework functions." The jellyfish scientist rippled with light patterns. "He adapts quickly to new paradigms. Note this in the evaluation." Meanwhile, Ambassador Wright faced a series of increasingly complex diplomatic scenarios. The council presented her with historical conflicts between member species, asking her to propose solutions. "Your approach emphasizes mutual benefit rather than hierarchical authority," noted a reptilian council diplomat after Wright mediated a simulated resource dispute. "Most emerging species seek to establish dominance first. Cooperation has proven more sustainable on Earth," Wright replied, "though we learned this through painful experience." In another section of the station, Captain Mason stood in a holographic chamber that could create stunningly realistic simulations. The military representatives of the council had presented him with tactical scenarios, each designed to test human strategic thinking. "Interesting," commented a multi-limbed insectoid observer. "When presented with overwhelming force, you chose evasion and regrouping rather than sacrificing resources for symbolic resistance. A battle avoided is often better than a battle won," Mason replied, remembering his academy training. "Yet in this scenario," the insectoid continued, "you chose to defend the civilian settlement rather than the more valuable mining facility." "People are always more valuable than resources," Mason said firmly. The tests continued for 3 days. Each evening, the delegation compared notes, identifying patterns in the council's evaluations. "They're particularly interested in our problem-solving flexibility," Dr. Rodriguez observed. "They keep changing parameters mid-test to see how we adapt. And they seem surprised by our ethical priorities," added Mason, "as if they expected us to be more calculating." On the 4th morning, they returned to the council chambers. The assembled aliens seemed more animated than before, with clusters of delegates engaged in intense discussion that fell silent as the humans entered. Zixar rose to address them. "The evaluation results have generated significant debate among council members. Your species demonstrates unexpected characteristics. Is that a good thing?" Wright asked directly. "It is. Unprecedented," Zixar replied. "Some see great potential in your unique perspectives. Others see unpredictability that could threaten stability." Looking around, Wright could see the division among the council members. Some leaned forward with what she interpreted as interest, while others held back in what might be caution or even fear. "The council requires further deliberation." Zixar announced. But one thing is certain. Earth has defied all our expectations. Lieutenant Frank Dias couldn't sleep. The quarters provided by the Council were comfortable, but something felt off about the whole situation. The Council's surprise at humanity's independent development, their careful testing, their divided reactions, it all suggested something deeper was happening. Dias had served in Earth intelligence before joining the Intrepid. Old habits died hard. While the rest of the delegation focused on their tests, he had been mapping the station's layout and observing traffic patterns among the various species. A soft knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Security Chief Olivia Bennett stood outside, her expression serious. "You've noticed it too," she said without preamble. Dias nodded. The Vexor delegates always leave the Council chambers through a secondary exit, and they meet regularly with the tentacled species. "The Grishnar," Bennett supplied. "I've been tracking their movements. There's a pattern of secret meetings happening during the night cycle." They shared their observations with Captain Mason, who authorized them to investigate further, discreetly. Using a device Dr. Rodriguez had modified to detect electronic signals, Bennett and Dias followed a communication trail to a secluded section of the station. There, hidden behind maintenance panels, they discovered an unauthorized data node. "I can't break the encryption," Dias admitted after several attempts. "But I can copy the data package for Rodriguez to analyze." Back in their quarters, Dr. Rodriguez worked through the night, applying Earth encryption techniques to the alien data. By morning, he had cracked enough to understand its significance. Its correspondence between several Council species, he explained to the assembled delegation. "They're discussing Earth separately from the official evaluation. And they're afraid of us." "Afraid? Why?" Ambassador Wright asked. "Because we developed independently," Rodriguez explained. According to these messages, most Council species were guided in their development by older species. Technology was provided in controlled stages, but humans created everything ourselves, following paths no one expected. Captain Mason studied the translated documents. "Some Council members believe this makes us unpredictable, potentially dangerous. They've been manipulating our evaluation to justify restricting Earth's status." "There's more," Bennett added. "Several members benefit economically from controlling technology distribution to developing worlds. Earth represents a threat to that model." Ambassador Wright's expression hardened. "So this isn't just about security concerns. It's about power and profit." "What do we do?" Dias asked. "If the process is rigged against us, we bring it into the open," Wright decided. "The Council's founding principles include fairness and transparency. We'll use their own values against them." The next day, when called before the Council for preliminary findings, Ambassador Wright deviated from protocol. "Before you share your evaluation," she announced, "we must address a serious concern." Surprise rippled through the chamber as Wright presented evidence of the secret communications. "Some Council members have predetermined their position on Earth regardless of our evaluation performance," she stated firmly. "This contradicts the principles of fair assessment you claim to uphold." Chaos erupted. Some delegates demanded the humans be removed for violating Council privacy. Others turned on the exposed conspirators, demanding explanations. "Order." Zixar's voice cut through the tumult. "These allegations are serious. If true, they undermine Council integrity. We do not apologize for protecting ourselves against potential threats," the Vexor delegate countered. "Humanity's unguided development presents unknown risks." A new voice spoke, belonging to a species the humans hadn't seen before. Small and almost transparent, it hovered above its Council seat. "I am Irith of the Lamini," it introduced itself. "The oldest surviving founding species of this Council. We have observed these proceedings with great interest." The chamber fell completely silent. Humanity has demonstrated not only technological capability, but ethical awareness by exposing this corruption rather than exploiting it. They could have used this information to manipulate individual members for preferential treatment. Instead, they chose transparency. The Lamini turned toward the human delegation. This quality is rare and valuable. Perhaps we have grown too comfortable in our patterns of control. Ambassador Wright met its gaze steadily. Earth seeks partnership, not subjugation. We would contribute to the Council, not merely follow its dictates. For the first time since their arrival, the humans sensed a genuine shift in the Council's attitude, not just surprise, but respect. The final Council session was scheduled for what the station designated as Prime Cycle, the time when all member species were most active. The human delegation entered a chamber even more crowded than before. News of the corruption scandal and humanity's unique approach had spread throughout Concordia, bringing observers from every corner of the massive station. Ambassador Wright felt the weight of 7 billion human lives on her shoulders as she led her team to the central platform. The past 2 days had been intense. Emergency council sessions, private meetings with individual species representatives, and heated debates about Earth's place in the galactic community. The Council will now render judgment on the petition of Earth for recognition, 6R announced. As tradition demands, each member species may present their position before the vote. The Vexor delegate spoke first, its cluster of eyes pulsing with intensity. Despite recent revelations, the Vexor hegemony maintains that unguided species present unpredictable variables. We advocate for supervised integration over no less than 500 cycles. Several other species sided with this conservative approach, citing stability and security concerns. Then a representative of the crystalline beings rose. The Thrixian lattice sees valuable diversity in human thought patterns. Their solutions to our test scenarios demonstrated creativity our cultures could benefit from. We support provisional membership with technology exchange protocols. The debate continued for hours. Some species remained deeply suspicious of humanity's independent development. Others were intrigued by the potential for new perspectives. A few recognized the corruption exposed by the human delegation as a symptom of deeper problems within the Council itself. Dr. Rodriguez leaned toward Captain Mason. Notice how they keep referring to our unique neural architecture. They seem fascinated by how differently humans. The U.S. Intrepid broke through Earth's atmosphere, trailing streaks of fire as it returned from deep space. Inside, Ambassador Wright watched the blue planet grow larger in the view screen. After 2 months among the stars, coming home felt both familiar and strange. Earth looked smaller now that she understood its place in the vast galactic community. Behind her, the rest of the delegation prepared for landing. They had changed during their journey, not just in their knowledge, but in how they saw themselves and their world. 6 hours until touchdown, Captain Mason announced. The Secretary General reports global celebrations are already underway. News of Earth's acceptance into the Galactic Council had been transmitted ahead, causing worldwide excitement and speculation. Humanity had passed a threshold that would forever separate history into before and after. Hard to believe it's only been 2 months, Dr. Rodriguez said, joining Wright at the view screen. Everything's going to change now. Wright nodded. The Council engineers will arrive next week to help establish the first permanent interstellar communication array. After that, the knowledge exchange begins. The Galactic Council had agreed to share selected technologies with Earth, clean energy systems, advanced medical techniques, and faster-than-light communication. In return, humanity would contribute its unique perspectives and problem-solving approaches. They're still nervous about us, Lieutenant Dias noted. That's why they limited weapons technology transfers. Can you blame them? Security Chief Bennett replied. We scared them by simply existing outside their control system. When the Intrepid finally landed at the newly constructed International Space Center in Geneva, thousands of people cheered. The delegation descended to a hero's welcome, with world leaders waiting to greet them. Ambassador Wright, the Secretary General said, shaking her hand for the cameras, you have secured humanity's future among the stars. The weeks that followed brought rapid changes. Council representatives arrived in small numbers, carefully managed to avoid cultural shock. Earth governments united as never before, setting aside old conflicts to focus on the greater community they now belong to. Captain Mason received command of Earth's first diplomatic fleet, ships designed with Council assistance but built by human hands. Their mission would be to establish Earth embassies at key locations throughout Council space. "They're watching how we handle this transition," Mason told his newly assembled crew. "Let's show them what humanity can do when given the chance." Dr. Rodriguez declined prestigious university positions to head the new interspecies scientific exchange, where Earth scientists would collaborate with their alien counterparts. His first project involved applying human mathematical approaches to long-standing Council technology problems. "They've been looking at these questions the same way for thousands of years," he explained to his team. "Our different perspective is our greatest contribution." Ambassador Wright had perhaps the most challenging role, establishing Earth's permanent mission on Concordia Station. She would represent humanity's interests while navigating the complex politics of 27 different species. "Remember," she told her diplomatic staff during their first briefing aboard the station, "we're newcomers here, but not subordinates. Earth earned its place through its own merit." 6 months after first contact, a small ceremony took place at the renovated United Nations headquarters. Representatives from 7 Council species stood alongside Earth's leaders as they unveiled a new monument, a globe encircled by stars, symbolizing Earth's new place in the cosmic order. The Lumpini representative, who rarely visited planetary surfaces, hovered beside Ambassador Wright during the ceremony. "Your species continues to surprise us," it said in its whispery voice. "Most new members take decades to establish meaningful exchanges. Earth has done so in months. We've waited our entire history for this moment," Wright replied. "We don't intend to waste the opportunity." That night, people around the world stepped outside to look up at the stars. The same stars that had always been there now held new meaning. No longer distant, unreachable points of light, they were destinations, homes to civilizations both strange and, in fundamental ways, familiar. On a hillside outside Geneva, Captain Mason sat with Dr. Rodriguez and Lieutenant Diaz, sharing a bottle of wine as they gazed upward. "To think," Rodriguez said quietly, "how close we came to being quarantined, cut off from all this." "They never really had a chance to keep us out," Mason replied with a smile. "Not once they realized what they were dealing with." Hem speechless. 5 years had passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. What began as cautious integration had evolved into something no species had predicted. Humans, with their unique perspectives and adaptability, had become catalysts for change throughout Council space. On Concordia Station, Ambassador Wright stood in her office, gazing at the swirling stars visible through the massive viewport. The space around her had transformed from alien to familiar, decorated with both Earth artifacts and gifts from dozens of species she now called allies. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Zixar, no longer Council High Speaker but still an influential voice in galactic politics. Ambassador Wright, the silver-skinned being, greeted her. "I hope this visit isn't inconvenient." "Not at all," Wright replied, gesturing to a seating area designed to accommodate multiple species. "What brings you here today?" Zixar settled into a specially designed chair. "I've come with news that may interest you. The Council has completed its 5-year assessment of Earth's integration." Wright nodded. This evaluation had been part of their provisional membership agreement. "The results have caused quite a stir," Zixar continued. "No species in Council history has established diplomatic relations with all 27 member worlds in such a short time. Your cultural exchange programs have participation rates triple the historical average. Humans are curious by nature," Wright explained. "We've waited our entire history to discover we're not alone." "It's more than curiosity," Zixar countered. "Your Captain Mason's diplomatic fleet has mediated 3 long-standing conflicts that Council peacekeepers couldn't resolve. Your Dr. Rodriguez's scientific collaborations have produced breakthroughs in fields some species have studied for centuries." Wright smiled. Both Mason and Rodriguez had exceeded all expectations, Mason now commanded a fleet of 12 ships that served as mobile embassies throughout Council space. Rodriguez led a team of human and alien scientists whose work on cross-species medical treatments had saved countless lives. But most surprising, Zixar continued, is the effect humans have had on Council-species relations. Your habit of questioning established protocols has encouraged others to do the same. Species that rarely interacted now collaborate regularly. Is that seen as positive or negative? Wright asked carefully. Both, Zixar admitted. Change is never comfortable. The Vexor and several conservative species believe humans are disrupting necessary hierarchies. Others see a revitalization of Council principles long forgotten. From her desk, a communication panel chimed. "Excuse me," Wright said, activating the screen. Lieutenant Diaz appeared, now serving as security chief for Earth's embassy on the Thrixian homeworld. "Ambassador, we've completed the evacuation of the mining colony. All personnel are safe before the asteroid impact." "Excellent work, Frank," Wright replied. "Were there any complications?" "Nothing we couldn't handle. The Thrixians are impressed we managed it ahead of schedule." After ending the call, Wright turned back to Zixar. "Another example of human efficiency." "Indeed, which brings me to my purpose here." Zixar produced a small crystal sphere that projected a document in the air between them. "The Lumnini have proposed accelerating Earth's transition from provisional to full Council membership. Instead of 50 Earth years, they suggest 10. Wright's eyes widened. "That's unprecedented." "As is much about humanity's integration," Zixar noted. "The vote will occur next cycle. Many species remain uncertain. And you, what do you think?" Zixar's silvery features shifted in what Wright had learned was thoughtful consideration. "When you first arrived, I feared humanity would disrupt Council stability. I was right, but not in the way I expected. You've challenged us to remember why the Council was formed. Not to maintain the status quo, but to help all species reach their potential." Standing to leave, Zixar added, "5 years ago, Earth faced the Galactic Council and left us speechless. Now, we find ourselves listening to what you have to say." After Zixar departed, Wright contacted Earth to share the news. As she looked out at the stars once more, she reflected on how quickly humans had gone from isolated planetary inhabitants to influential galactic citizens. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for humanity just as much as humanity had been waiting for it.